Hello everyone, welcome again to the channel. Today I want to share with you this information I found is coming from the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, and the title is Briefing on the Results of Analyzing Documents Related to the Military Biological Activity of the USA in Ukraine. So it is quite lengthy article and talks about several topics that are somehow related to this topic, but they also go into a lot of detail in some areas, including politics of the US, Joe Biden and his family. So if you are interested into that, I recommend you to read the entire article. So I'm just going to highlight the most important parts. So mainly it says that Ukraine was having some funding from the Pentagon, and United States citizens were participating, helping Ukrainian institutions to perform different kinds of tests or experiments, and they were doing tests in psychiatric patients, so probably people that are unable to give consent to this kind of experiments. They are saying also that these experiments started probably since around 2011, and they were taking place in the region of Sorokovka in Kharkov region. And they say one of the places where they found this, it was disguised as a company that produces food additives but was doing something completely different. They say there were numerous violations of international humanitarian law, the Nuremberg Code, Helsinki Declaration of the World Medical Association. They were performing these kind of experiments, like I said, without consent, without informing the subjects properly about the consequences of the experiment. So they say they were not preventing excessive physical and mental suffering, as well as torture, inhumane and degrading treatment. They say they were using highly active neuropeptides, which were tested in socially vulnerable citizens of Ukraine and caused irreversible damage to the central nervous system. And they mentioned the institutions that took part in this experiment, which is Scientific Technological Center of Ukraine, and it was part of the military biological program of the USA. They also mentioned another project, the P268, which was a program in which the National University Taras Shevchenko took part, together with the Colorado State University. And they say that in this program, more than 30% of the participants are former scientists experienced in developing weapons of mass destruction. So that is suspicious, to say the least, because the United States has this history of recruiting scientists from countries such as it happened in World War II with all the German scientists, and they were not recruiting for peaceful purposes. So based on that story, on that history, that pattern of behavior, we can suppose that they are not going to be put to civilian use, And the argument is that the objective of the project was to study viruses capable of infecting Aedes mosquitoes, and they say this was produced in Kiev, delivered to the USA for more studies. And these mosquitoes are vectors for infections such as dengue fever, Zika, and yellow fever. And then they mentioned some outbreaks in Cuba in the 1970s, 1980s. There was even a class action case against the US because of all these things, and they were submitted this evidence to the member states of the Biological Weapons Convention, but apparently nothing happened. The United Nations ignored it, the World Health Organization also ignored it. They mentioned more attacks on Cuba of different kinds, attacks on people, attacks on animals, on swine. There was a swine fever. They killed 500,000 swines there. And there is even some statement from former FBI official William Turner about how they did all these things. They were involved with Panama, and they transferred the things to Cuba. And they attacked also important crops like sugar cane, tobacco, and all this, like I said, was basically ignored. And despite the assurances of the United States that the biological research in Ukraine is carried out exclusively in the field of civilian healthcare, well, we just mentioned that it is unlikely that they are having people with experience in weapons of mass destruction and then they are using it for peaceful purposes. They mentioned also some attacks like infectious diseases that were present in the Lugansk and Donetsk People's Republic starting from 2015. They mentioned different conditions like tularemia, which the morbidity increased almost 10 times in comparison with 2007. They mentioned some NATO documents about the tularemia and how they were considering using it as a biological agent, and it was used in military exercises in Sweden. They mentioned more outbreaks of hepatitis in the Ukraine in regions where there were biological facilities controlled by the Pentagon. So that's that's the situation here. And then they mentioned this part, which was highly publicized, that says on June 9, the Pentagon website published an official statement about US biological activities in the post-Soviet countries. The US administration admits the funding of 46 Ukrainian laboratories. And then they mentioned the Null-Logar Joint Threat Reduction Program, which saw former Soviet scientists specialized in biological weapons allegedly to exclude the possibility of their cooperation with terrorist groups. Okay, so let's pay attention to this one. This comes from the US Department of Defense. So from the Pentagon, they say this is a fact sheet on WMD threat reduction efforts with Ukraine, Russia, and other former Soviet Union countries. So they talk a lot about this, so it's very extensive. You can take your time to read it. And then they mention here the Null-Logar Cooperative Threat Reduction Program, like they were mentioning in the previous article. They say that they were offering assistance in finding gainful employment for thousands of former Soviet scientists with expert knowledge of WMD, WMD-related materials, or their delivery systems. So, I don't know what kind of occupation can find an expert with knowledge of WMD. I don't know, really. What civilians use can you find for someone like that? So, anyway, that's what they're saying. So there's more than what meets the eye. They were saying also that they were ensuring that Soviet scientists with weapons-related knowledge could have sustainable civilian employment, in particular supporting scientists to remove incentives to seek or accept of terrorists or other state actor employment and financing. So it's all good. The intentions are good, but like I said, these kind of scientists cannot be employed in, I don't know, making ice cream. They are going to be useful for people who produces weapons. That's what they're saying. They say Ukraine has no biological weapons program. So that's kind of, they're highlighting it. And it goes into mentioning these 46 Ukrainian laboratories, and it says the United States has also worked to improve biological safety for both human and animal health, providing support for 46 peaceful Ukrainian laboratories. Why do they feel the need to add peaceful? I think this is, in my opinion, very, very suspicious. Why do they feel the need to add peaceful to the laboratories? No? Like they are hiding something. That's my opinion. I don't know what you guys think about it. And then they are mentioning the nexus of non-proliferation. So why again do they mention non-proliferation if it is harmless? Why worry about proliferation if it is completely harmless? Again, more suspicious language, how they use it. So that's it. I just wanted to give you a quick summary. This is a highly censored topic, so I don't know how it will be perceived by the YouTube algorithm or by other websites where I host my content, so we will see how it goes. So let me know what you guys think, and as always I ask you to please like the video, share the video in social media, and subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for watching.